Okay. Welcome, everyone. We'll kick off and get underway. We are recording all of these sessions, so they will actually go online if you can't sort of remember something along the way. We'll set a bit of a cracking pace as we go through it. We'll see how we track. These are seminar-based; they're not actually interactive, so you don't have sort of devices in front of you. It's trying to help you get up to speed. The first session being Word, and getting to understand some of the features of words. There was an outline that was actually provided. I will try sticking close to it, but we might throw more in. There might be other things as well on top of it. Happy to sort of throw in a few things depending, and we've got some time sort of at the end, if you like, you've got any questions in particular that you want to ask. So I am a Microsoft Office 365 adoptions specialist. I am awarded by Microsoft. I don't actually work for Microsoft. I am awarded by Microsoft for technical excellence in the community. I run the Australian adoption user groups, and being a specialist in MVP, I've been asked to come in and help you guys in terms of a little bit of uplift in knowledge. I can answer a good portion of questions. I do teach this technology to a super user level. However, some of us use it quite differently than others. There might be often anywhere from 3 to 5 ways to do exactly the same thing. So you might be doing one way and I might teach you another way. My way may be faster, but if you're already fairly embedded in that as technology and knowledge, then it might not make sense to change it. There is a sign-in sheet just up the front here, guys. If you could just please sign in, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. Just down the front there. And welcome. So what we will do is we will kick off and get underway. Now, let's go in and have a look. Getting yourself started just in Windows alone, if you tap the Windows key on your keyboard and you type in Word and press Enter or arrow down, once you've pressed Enter on this one, it will come up as the top choice. So from then on, you can actually then go tap Word. It will be the top choice, press Enter, and I can open up really quickly and easily just using your keyboard to get yourself started in Word. So on opening Word, the new start screen actually came into play in 2016. So as you open it up, now I know I'm a little short, you can see me over the screen there. I'm a bit kind of confined to here for you. So when we get underway, and I'm just going to maximise that screen. You do have what's called Take a Tour, and it's right throughout the Office suite in 2016. And it will give you some of the new features that are actually available when it comes to Word, PowerPoint, Excel, for example. So the Take a Tour will actually start to list things out a little bit. Now, the interface of your ribbon up the top has changed a little. And depending on what it is that you're trying to do, if I open up a document, so say for example, let me open up, I've just got a folder here. Let's have a look. You'll see here I've got some different icons happening. So if it's an older version, for example, it has a bit of a different icon against it. So you can instantly see that if I open that up in Word, what's going to happen is it actually comes in compatibility mode. This means some of the features and functionalities are actually going to be greyed out up on the ribbon. Something like a text effect, for example, it's currently disabled because I am in compatibility mode, so I don't have that feature until such stage as I go to the File tab and I want to convert this up to its latest format. So with a conversion, it will go, do you want to upgrade? You can tick the don't ask me about this in terms of doing it again and again, it will automatically go. The moment I do that, you'll now see I've actually got text effects to be able to work with. So if you see something greyed out up on your ribbon, it's usually for a multitude of reasons. One, you're either in compatibility mode, or two, you've not done a particular function. So for example, I'm not going to be able to paste before I go Control-C, copy, and now it's going to be there to paste. So there's usually a prerequisite. It's going to be a long day. I'm already tongue-tied. And it's usually a prerequisite. Something has to be done before you do something else in terms of the ribbon. So some of the different features that we've actually got as a part of our environment. The File tab, this is actually called your backstage. Okay? your navigation running down the left-hand side, some of the features that you've actually got, the check issues, for example. You've got some really awesome compatibility type features and accessibility. Accessibility is coming into play an awful lot, and I know that when it comes to the public sector, really important when we're creating documents to make sure that they're accessibility enabled for our audience. And if we build for accessibility, we build usually for the vast proportion of our audience. Okay? So check your accessibility and just double check and make sure that it's actually going to be right for you. One of the features that came in is being able to manage your documents. You do have a document sort of history going on. So should you have a blank document and it crashes, for example, when you open up, it will give you some file history. And in here, you can actually recover unsaved documents through here. As we start to work on a document, it will go, here are some of the past versions. So we'll have a look at that as we start to make our way through the document. I will come back to it. So with my ribbons running across the top, if I press the Alt key, you actually get a keyboard kind of shortcut way that actually moves you through some of the features and functionalities. So say I go, press the Alt key, and I then go, I want to go N to insert, and P for pictures, for example. It will then bring me up my File Explorer folder. Now, there are a lot of them, of course. As you can see, you can move your way through. So sometimes there's not a keyboard shortcut for what you want to do. Get to know this way of being able to move your way through to do something, especially if it's repetitive. You can either set it up as a macro or get to know that kind of, and I would do ones where it would go, you know, Alt G for design, and I'd go to palettes, and I would, because it was something I was doing a lot, especially when it came to working with pictures. Once I've added a picture in, I kept having to sort of edit the structure around it. So when I was doing it for pictures again and again, because I had every page, I had picture after picture. So it became a really quick way for me to be able to do the same features in a keyboard shortcut. You can create your own keyboard shortcuts along the way as well. Up the very top left, you've got what's called your quick access bar. Your quick access bar allows you to be able to put features and functionalities running across the top here. There are certain ones that I like to have on. For example, just quick print. You've got your undo and redo is there by default, but there are lots of other features and functionalities you might put up here, including opening documents, for example, because there's lots of different functionality. If you go into more commands, you'll see I've got the standard sort of popular commands. It'll be things like commands that actually aren't on the ribbon, for example, that can be really valuable that you might be putting in. So there are plenty in here for you to be able to play around with. If you're not wanting to get to know the Alt keyboard kind of shortcut, you might just put it up there if you're a fairly heavy mouse user, for example. Okay. So it depends on what you need to be able to add up to your quick access toolbar. Now that can be put either above or below the ribbon, depending on where you wish it to go. The other way to be able to get into your features and functionalities is through the File tab, and you've actually got down the bottom here, you've got different options. This is where you can customize your ribbon as well as your quick access toolbar. So there are certain features and functionalities that are on by default. If you want to be putting in things like sort of fields and, you know, interactive drop downs, and you want to get into the more complex ways of working, you will need to turn on your developer ribbon. It is there, but you'll have to come through your customized ribbon. So we're just walking our way through some of the interface functionality to be able to work with. And we'll come back into some of these options in a minute. Okay. Running across the bottom, you've got your status bar running across the bottom of your interface. So I've got my page 1 of 2. Now if I do click up, it gives me my navigation pane. That is also on the View tab, and you'll see I've got a tick box here for your navigation pane as well. So depending on where you go, this is interactive. It will give you your words. It's saying there's currently some formatting, and it is in English US as default. There are other features and functionalities. If you do a right click on your status bar, there's actually quite a bit of value. Things like turning track changes on and off directly from your status bar. A quick and easy one to be able to put on there to be able to help and support you. Okay. Over in the bottom right-hand side, we do have some different views for you to be able to work with. There are some, however, that aren't actually there. You're going to find them on the View tab up the top. And we're going to go in and start to have a look at some of these other views, especially the outline mode. Has anyone in the room actually used outline for a view? Got one? Nodding? Anyone else? No? We'll go and have a look soon around some of the value of using your outline mode. Our view over on the bottom right, to zoom in and out, I can either click on down the bottom or hold my control key down, and the scroll button on my mouse allows me just to be able to quickly scroll and zoom in and out on a document. So that's just holding your control and rolling your mouse up and down. It's a feature of your Windows piece. Okay. So as part of working with some of these features and functionalities that have come in, on the File tab, your properties is over on the right-hand side. Should you wish to see all of the file properties, you can extend it out. These are all interactive and lead into the various fields, the property fields that come with the document that you'll be able to draw from. Okay. So this is the general properties over on the right-hand side. Now, a lot of these properties will be set in there by default, depending on who's created, when, modified. If you wish to actually get rid of some of these properties, that's when you'll go in and inspect the document and start to remove. For example, I need to save it first. I can open up one that's already been saved. Let's come back. Let me open up one that's already saved there so we can not save again. Okay. So File, let's go Inspect the document. You'll see comments, revisions, versions, properties, other features and functionalities. It goes, hang on, there's document properties. Do you wish to get rid of them? This is a good feature where, for example, you want to put this file live onto a website and you don't want to have your name against it, because then someone might try and look you up internally, or if you're putting it public especially. So those, the extranet and the intranet, where you want to clean up your document and get it ready. Remove then those document properties and personal information from it before you take it live. That way it then drops off this kind of information. Okay? Or it's someone else's document and you're wanting to create it as your own template, then you might want to clear it out and then look at putting it in yourself in terms of the modification of that document. Okay. So we will build on some of those. Where we first opened up a document, so this pane here, or that new document from initially opening. So this is what it looked like when we first opened Word up. You do get all those templates. We went in to take a tour. However, there is a lot of templates online for you to be able to work with. So for example, say you wanted to do something like a birthday, it will actually search all the different templates online, and maybe you're doing a quick, team, birthday, let's all get together, and it will just give you all the different templates. So you can drill down a little further and go back to your home. There are some standard suggestions that are very much focused around business. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are a ton of templates for you to be able to draw on. In your print, when we have a document to print, now this is blank. Let's get ourselves something a little bit more interesting to work with. With the print, it will actually give you views to be able to work with. Now, it depends on what application you're in as to what features you're going to get in your view. There are different features in the different applications. Excel will give you more functionality down the bottom here for you to be able to work with, like margins, for example. With our printing, all our printer properties, you're going to find under the extension up the top here. There are some different features that come actually into it. Depending on the application, you're going to find different ways to be able to collate and work with our setup that's come through now, especially when it comes to something like PowerPoint, and we'll have a look at that. There's different features there and functionalities there. So keep an eye out for where you wish to go. Underneath our account, if you're not sure what version you've actually got, it will tell you under the Accounts section. Some of the options, I always say get to know your options when it comes to Word. There are lots of features and functionalities in here for you to be able to turn on and off. When you're doing things like tracking changes, for example, your username is actually in here. If it is not correct, you can go and edit it. If it's got your full name and you are known very well by a shortening of your name, you might want to go and adjust it in here. So, people will go, who's that? Who's Elizabeth? And you might be called Liz. Everyone calls you Liz, for example. It's not an uncommon thing. So often what we'll do is just adjust it through here. There are lots of features in here, the mini toolbar and live preview. Now, when I choose in terms of my interface, say I double click in a word, your mini toolbar is here. It is on by default. If I do a right click, I get my mini toolbar. It will look a little different from your 2013 feature because more features do come on and off, so it will adjust around and you will get other features and functionalities come up down the bottom, so you'll see some adjustments there. So with our right click, some of the features we have in here that is new, so say I go, let's go have a look at, scroll down a little. Let's choose Christopher Columbus, for example. A new feature is what's called Smart Lookup. And you're going to find this in a variety of places. But if I do a right click, you've got Smart Lookup. This gives you some insights in terms of a particular property. Okay, it will give you you're getting started for the first time, sure, got it. It's going to search Bing and it will actually look up Christopher Columbus, for example. So say with Christopher Columbus, I wanted to, start to bring some of that information in. So I could go, I want to copy and paste. I can actually copy and paste directly from in here and bring something in depending on what it is that I want to bring in. I might only want to go to here. So I can do a copy and maybe I want to just bring some information in from Christopher Columbus. Now, when I copy and paste information into this, I can go merging format so it keeps the information, or just drop it in as generic text and it will bring it in the right information. So that's that drop in. Now, depending on what you're trying to do in here will really depend on what comes in. There are pictures, for example, that you can quickly drop into your document. And it does use Bing to be able to work with. Now, it's got the Explore, and it's also got Define. So you can go and do a Define as well. It helps to extend it, yes? Okay, so depending on how you bring your information in, some of the other features are, let's just see, do you have it turned on? No, you don't. You have what's called Wiki. Wiki will allow you to actually directly drop it in and it keeps all the sourcing for you. Okay. I'll speak to the team about the Wiki app for you. I'll write that down. So, depending on what's actually enabled within the business. We're going here. If you're not sure at any point of something that was a feature from the past to now and you're not sure where it is, because there has been some moving around of some information. We've got, for example, we've got our insert, we've got our design tab now there. So when it comes to the look and feel, if you're not sure, you're trying to work out where a features is, in the top right hand corner you've got tell me what to do. So in the tell me, if I typed in something, for example, Smart Lookup, which we just did, some of the features here are jump directly to the Smart Lookup command. That actually kicks off the Smart Lookup command. Get help on it, or do the Smart Lookup for Smart Lookup. So you've typed a word in and it'll kick it off. So if I go get help, so if I wanted to say find out some of the best keyboard shortcuts, that's bringing up help. So there you go, get insights with Smart Lookup. It's jumping straight to my help for me. Or I can go straight to a particular command. So if I go Smart and you'll see it starts to slowly kind of filter things down a little, and I kick out Smart Lookup, and you'll see it's opening it as a command now. So I've got help or kick off the command. With the design ribbon, being that new feature that's actually dropped in, that new ribbon that's come in, you can create your own ribbons. You saw in the backstage going to File, Options, you can actually create your own ribbons, or add commands to the ribbon as you need to. But the Design tab has come into play as its own ribbon so that we can actually quickly and easily be able to work. So you'll see that there is information that used to be around the place that's now moved onto this ribbon. For example, your watermark is now in here if you're looking for it. Page color and design. A lot of what we're doing as a feature and a functionality, depending on what your need, the theme is really important when it comes to Word. Everything flows on from the theme as a basis. If you're working with your themes, then it's very easy for me to just hover over it and it will actually show me what it will look like. That is only as good as the styles that we work with. So the very first thing I do in a document is make sure that I've got the right styles that I want. Now, the styles up here may not look a little like what you want. So if I say, went to the design, and I go, I want to choose a particular theme first and foremost. So it could be, I choose a theme. Let's go back to, I'm going to go back to a document that's really in its basics. So it's an older version. Let's have a look at converting it up. So it's got nothing there at this point. There's no themes, there's no styles. Let's work our way through it. So first I need to bring it out of compatibility mode, if it wants to go. And click. Let's just see. Control Shift Escape. Okay. See if that'll do. Okay. Right. Just going to convert it out of compatibility. Now, I'm going to change the design and choose a particular theme that will give me a look that I want to see up here. So say, for example, I'm going to choose Facet. Now I've got a look and feel that I like. It's got a font, it's got all sorts of features and functionalities that come with it. So it's got a particular color set, it's got particular fonts that come with it, particular effects that come with it, and I can also set that as my default moving forward. So if you get a look and feel, you can set. Now, you will have templates and designs and things that will be your default as part of the business. Okay. So now, with this, I go, I actually want to choose a particular heading and go, that's going to be heading 1. Now, because I'm using my styles to set this up, it means that it's going to be much easier for me if I want to change my theme in future, because it's recognising a particular style. Now, I've got quite a few headings with the same look and feel in this document. I'm going back and I'm kind of reinventing the wheel in a lot of respects because I haven't done it from the start. But this is what we often end up doing. We get given a document. How do we actually work with a document to fix the text up? So I'm going to go Select. I'm going to select text with similar formatting. And it will actually go through the document and will highlight anything with similar formatting. Now you'll see it's also chosen the space before and after. So let's have a look at what's going to happen when I do that. So that's going to be my heading number 2. Now, it has done it for me, but I've now got spaces. Where that can be an issue, I'm going to go turn on that navigation pane. See, now I've got blanks. So this is effectively going to be my contents page. So I go, hang on a second. So I go, make that normal, make that normal. Now, it's a little difficult to see what's going on unless I do something like show hide my formatting. I can then really see it. That formatting show hide, a lot of people will do the whole, it's really messy. But I go, you cannot really see what's going on in your document unless you turn it on. Once you're finished, turn it off. If you want to see what it looks like in the end, you can turn it off or you can change your view as well. So I'd move my way through and make sure that it's in normal. I'll choose the next one and go select text with similar formatting. And I go, that's heading number 3. I go, see, it's done again. Go normal. normal. When you've got particularly big documents, this is valuable. Small ones, I'd probably just work my way through and just select it. But the problem would be is I'd still have the old formatting against that particular space, or that return, carriage return, or paragraph return. So I just want to make sure that we've actually got the right look and feel. So now that I have that layout, as part of my design, should I decide to change my theme, it will automatically adjust for me. So it then starts to flow through. And now what I have is the ability to be able to create something like a contents page. So as part of my referencing, I can go insert a table of contents. I can just drop a generic table of contents in, and that might then be on its own page. With a Control-Enter, your keyboard shortcut will do a particular page break with Control-Enter. So now that I've got my contents page, now I often will see a lot of people manually start to adjust the look and feel of their contents page. It will actually all flow through based on your styles. So if you want to know what's going on in terms of your styles, bottom right-hand corner, you've actually got your button to be able to extend out. This is usually your dialog box launcher is what it's called. So you click on that, you'll also see there is a keyboard shortcut to be able to work with it. So now here is my heading. So if you don't like a particular heading, work with it from here, because that will then mean that every time you insert your table of contents, it will maintain the look and feel, because you have to update it all the time and then you keep losing your formatting that you do, okay? So work with your styles and it will all start to flow through. It also means that if I've got whole sections, they're classed as normal, for example, I can also do a right click, go select all 22 instances, it will choose all of it. For example, maybe I want to make everything italics, for example. I can then choose everything that's normal in my document. It's going to be much quicker than trying to go through paragraph by paragraph by paragraph. Your styles will set everything up for you in your document, okay? Now on normal, instead of just going italics, you're better off to go here, modify, and then say what it's going to be to look like, okay? Because then it will flow through based on the style rather than doing it this way. You can update a particular style by making an adjustment, for example, Control-I, and then as part of your normal, wherever, you can then go update normal to match that particular selection. So it depends really what you want to try and do with your styles. Get used to them, have a look at them, preview, deep dive into them. There are some really good online ways to be able to understand and do a bit of learning around your styles, because everything in your styles will flow on from there. So I build out a document, and I can do this really quickly in the space of 2 or 3 minutes. I can have the whole style set up, cover page, content page dropped in for me on a blank document. Okay. Insert a cover page. There are some cover pages that I can work with, some quick and simple ones to get started. So if I go put in a banded cover page, I'm going to go up to the top. I can also go insert header. Go, I want that header. Okay, and I can go, what do I want as a footer? Now I get what's called my contextual tabs will come up. And I can choose the same banded one that I chose for my header, my footer. So I have a document with my cover page, my contents page, headers, footers, styles, and I go, the green's not working for me. Design, theme, and I'm going to go ion, let's go red. And now it'll swap the whole document out and around to what I want in a quick and easy way to be able to work. Do you like that? Okay. Kicking off, let's have a look at some of the other fun features and functionalities that we can actually work with. When I save a document, so if I come down here and I'm sitting here and I go, save this document, call it Spice History, new, and I'm going to close it. Here it is here, I'm going to reopen it. So one of the new features is, welcome back, pick up where you left. So when I click on that, it will jump me down to exactly where I was last. Really good in these big documents that we sometimes have, and it will do an immediately jump to where you want to be. I particularly love it, use it all the time. I don't even think about it anymore. It's one of those little things that becomes a bit insidious in your world and you're jumping to it. I have to always remind myself that it's new for some others. Okay, so that's your resume reading. Now, as I start to build out on a document, let's just see, do we have any history? Here we go. So here's some history. What will happen is it does an autosave. So your autosave will go based on what's been set in your backstage options as to how frequently it will do the autosave for you. This means I can go back to a previous version of this document and go, hang on a second, I want it from 10 minutes ago, and I started to play around with it and I haven't got enough. Control Z to undo, a really good one to remember. Control Z and undo, 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 and there's only so many back that you can really go. Okay, you can in your options say how many undos you want to go back to, but I could go, I want to go back to 10, 20, 30 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours ago and go get that document with just a quick and open. It's got my autosave, read only, could be my template from a while ago, and then you just go file, save as, and keep it. Okay, you'll see compare it. So I can compare the two documents to go what was different between the two, and we'll do an actual comparison for you to be able to work with. Okay, so I'll just go do and save. So that history is there for you to be able to work with. Now let's have a look at some of the different view modes. The bottom here, we've got read mode. Now this has come into play because we've got a lot of tablets that people are working across. So what does it look like when you go into read mode? Okay. Our print layout, our web layout. If you are putting it up online, it's looking at it in its HTML format. And then the view tab, I'm going to go in and have a look at outline mode. Outline mode is pretty much looking at your heading structure over on the left-hand side. So we've got all these little pluses. So if I do a double click on it, you can start to see I can collapse it down. I could just come up the top and go show everything just to level 2. So I can start to see the structure of my document and my headings and go, is it in the right order? Do I need to adjust it up and down? Does it have a good flow? So it depends on what level you wish to go to. You can go then all levels. Another great feature of that is if you want to move whole paragraphs around or you want to move whole chapters, for example, based on that plus, I could also go show me to level 2 and I go, I want to just drag that down to the bottom. So now it's medicinal is below spice trays. And if I have a look at the document now, it's going to keep all its formatting, all its headings, all its structure, styles, and not mess it up. Often what happens, we cut and paste and we mess up all of the styles that come with the document because we haven't kind of moved it in its most efficient way. Because cut and paste is not always the most efficient way to move things around. Same with paragraphs. I can actually grab that little sort of bullet point that's kind of looking beside it and drag whole paragraphs up and down without having to do cut and paste and losing things. I can drag it to whole other sections, and numbering, for example, will just drop into its order as you need to. And we'll come back into this view in a minute when we have a look at it. There are a couple of other features and functionalities as well. If you're not sure, you'll see there's show line only. So if I go close the view, I've adjusted around my structure a little and made it easier to work with. Now the tables, we're going to go back into outline view after I've put a table in. So inserting a table, you do have tables up the top here, but what I'll often see is people are creating tables and then merging sort of cells together, and you can get an eraser and delete it out, and we'll have a look how you do that, but sometimes it's a little easier just to go draw your table. I'm just going to drop one in that's fairly generic to start with, so we can go, right, I want to, as part of the design and layout, so these are my contextual tabs for a table. I can go, I want to merge these cells, for example. I want to split this cell into two columns. I'll just do 2 so I can start to split it out. So I can do that. Or I've got draw table. Now I could have drawn this right from the start. If I've got writing in here, so new information, oops, if I can spell, okay. So say I've got writing in there. What does it look like? If I go draw table, and I want to divide it, and it's going to work for me, let's go up a little higher, and I can actually divide between paragraphs. Sometimes we've got information in there. It will actually allow you to divide between paragraphs to be able to work. That gives you sort of some of the ideas. And then I've got an eraser. So I go, hang on a second, I need to get rid of that line. I need to get rid of that line, that line, that line, that line. Cursor's there, that line, and that line. So I can just draw in, erase out as I need to for my structure. Now the look and feel of my lines will always go based on my styles that I've got here. So it depends on what I want to do. So say I want to have a different border. So say I'm going a double line and that's what I want there instead. I just paint it. So I can just paint it in as I need to. So you want a red line that runs between, double line that runs between. You can just do it with your paint to be able to build it out. So they're all there. We're fairly used to using things like your dialog box to do all of that. But it's up there as a feature and functionality, quick and easy for you to be able to work with. So do it that way instead. Now, if I have, so say I go 1, 1, 2, and I'm just going to throw in a few more, or press the plus button. There are pluses there. So if I go 4, 6, 3, and 5. Because the information that I've cut and pasted is all been out of order because it came from an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. Over on my View tab, if I go back into outline mode, see how it's got those little bullet points? So I can then just grab, and adjust it around with outline mode. I use that one a lot with moving information up and down because sometimes it's been typed in incorrectly or you decide you want it in a different order. Cutting and pasting in tables can get a little tricky at times. So there are easier ways to be able to work with. So our design and look and feel will always be dependent on what you then actually choose from up the top left-hand side. So that's a quick editing of your tables. If I've got a document and it is a PDF, I'm going to save this one. I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm just going to put it onto this PC. And I'm just going to save it as a PDF. Save. Okay. So now that I've got my PDF, I just go, I'm not going to open it. So here's my welcome to Word. Now I've set it off, haven't I? I'm going to come back in and I'm going to go File, Open, Recent. Here's my welcome to Word. It was a PDF. Now you can bring in all sorts of PDFs. I could bring in this one up the top. I go welcome to Word, open up a PDF. It will go, fine, we'll convert this over for you. Is this what you wish to do? And I go, okay. And we'll unpack it and bring it back in for you. Open PDFs. You will. It's a standard inbuilt into Word for 2016. File open. Now, unless you've got, if you've used an Adobe, suite where you've got it all locked down, and all, then they won't be able to go File open necessarily. But most PDFs, you will be able to just go open it in Word, and it will actually unpack your PDFs. Will it come out perfect? Not always. Sometimes it won't. Depends on the structure of the document. But it will give you, it might put some of them all into boxes. It might put a couple of things into boxes, sort of thing. But, you know, generally it does a really awesome job of just unpacking that PDF for you. Okay. Yep.
Let's say I scan the paper and
Yep.
send this PDF.
Yep. Yep. No, not necessarily. It depends. It would actually put the words into some boxes in terms of some of the structure. It just depends on the document, how clear it is as part of the scanning and a few other things. But generally it will unpack it with scanning, yeah. It's got some good, what they class as that OCR reader sitting in the back end of it to be able to bring it in for you. Okay. I love it. I use it all the time for all sorts of things. So as part of our formatting and our ruler, your ruler is not turned on by default up the top. On your View tab is where you're going to need to turn your ruler on so that you can actually bring it up. Word's pretty good that if you turn it on, it will actually remember that you've got it on for the next time that you open it up. So it's got a good sort of memory based on the way that you actually work. Our navigation with our headings, I can also drag headings up and down from our navigation over on the left-hand side. My search features and functionality now come over here. So if I'm searching, for example, in this document, if I'm searching for OneDrive, it will tell you and highlight through the document. I can do it where is it on the page, or give me the results, and it's interactive for me to be able to jump to in terms of my search. I can arrow my way through them to be able to get to them. So I might be doing some spell check, for example, or see where I've got that particular word. As part of those results, we can then adjust the document as needed. So as part of a few other features and functionalities in here, what we want to do is some of the grammatical stuff that actually comes in. So for example, if I right-click now, we've got features such as translating if it's a particular word and you're not sure, the synonyms and the thesaurus that comes as a part of it, or your spell checking. So say I delete out. Some of the grammatical now, adding to dictionary. We can edit our dictionary, and we've been able to do that for a while to be able to put words in to be able to help us. But I'm not going to get some of those features of a right click whilst I've got grammatical errors going on in this particular document. If I put in an address, so if I go 1 Bay Street, Ultimo, South Wales, I don't know what the postcode is, but let's see if we can do it with this. Okay, and no, it's all good, you haven't got it set up. So it'll do a lookup of your address. Okay. So it might kick off, but not at this point for you guys. So when we're working on a few of the features that I work with, if I'm trying to play around with a paragraph, one click just drops you into a word. A double click selects the word. A triple click selects the whole paragraph. However, if I'm over in the gutter, we call it, I'm going to hang in the gutter for a bit. Over in the gutter on the left-hand side, so this left margin, if I do a one click, it will choose the line. A double click chooses the paragraph, and a triple click will actually choose all of the document. Holding down a particular key and using your mouse, so doing a left click on your mouse, can give you lots of different features right across the Office suite. So for example, if I've got a busy paragraph, let's see, is there a busy paragraph here? I might come over to my other document here. So I've got then a paragraph where I've got lots going on. And I go, I want to highlight that from the while, here, that while sentence, down to Explorer. Rather than getting your mouse, trying to find the beginning, dragging across, just hold your control key down and do a left click. And it will actually select the sentence. And that sentence, I actually want to turn into italics, for example. Much easier than dragging your mouse across a screen. So that's just holding your control key and doing a left click. Sometimes I've got a table of information, or I've got tabs, for example. Say I want to choose just the column that's sitting in the middle. We get tab kind of work. So if I hold my Alt key down, it kind of releases the mouse for me to be able to just choose a particular column of information to go copy. Let me go to a new page with a Control N for new. Control V, paste, and you'll see it's only copying what I've selected. Now that's good when you've got columns of information, or a table, for example, that we've got up here, where I go, it's not quite even. I need this sort of information, but it keeps choosing over here, and it's choosing over here, and it's merged together, and just hold your Alt key down, and you'd be able to then choose a particular piece of information that you might actually want on a page. It releases the mouse, and it's particularly good for different features and functionalities. Now, let's go drop in and have a look at, and we do have some referencing for research as well. Let's go have a look at. So on our review tab, you've actually got things like your translate, your languages. We've got the ability to be able to bring in some of the different referencing. You'll be working with all of this. We've got different views to be able to have a look, go work your way through and have a look at some of the features and functionalities that you've actually got there, okay? Now, our ways to be able to work with dropping in things like pictures. Let's say in my spices, I want to bring in a picture. Let's go insert a picture from training. We've got some fun ones there. Let's go insert I'll just bring a flower in, for example. So it's pretty big. Some of the features and functionalities that come with the whole of Office, so this is right across the Office suite, is the ability to then be able to remove the background very easily. So if I click remove the background, anything that's in that sort of pinky purpley kind of colour is going to drop off. I can pick and choose which I want to keep. I can keep the changes. Now that on its own is probably not going to be much value unless I want to start to look at the different layer options. So I'm going to do tight, which means that I can start to edit and adjust it as I need to. Now, I want it to be a little closer, and I want that U gone. So as part of my picture tools and my wrapping, I can edit the wrap points and go, just let's get rid of it from there. I can make sure that it comes in a little closer, because sometimes it's the wrap points around pictures and square pictures is really broad, so we want to get rid of it. I can also start to do some color corrections. So if I want to change the color so it matches in the document, I can go, I want to do blue with, so it looks a little bit more hand-drawn, for example. Not sure how it's coming up on the screen. I might want to make it a little darker. Let's have a look. So I can turn, and I've had it where I've turned a picture where it's representative of something, but it was a little bit ugly, didn't look so nice or great. I can turn it into this artistic drawing, and it actually looked really good. It kind of changed the look and feel of the document a lot, okay? Because sometimes not all the pictures that we've got are particularly flattering, okay? But it can give you a bit of an indication of what you can actually do with them. Now, it depends on the style you want. You could have put it into all the different, there are lots of different ways for you to be able to work with it. There are lots of different picture effects, shadows, so I could put a bit of a shadow behind it to make it then jump out on the page a little bit more. So that was, and I've got lots of different pictures in there to be able to drop in and do all sorts of things for it. So it depends on where I want it, and I can start to then layer them on top of each other as well. Now, when I'm working with a picture, sometimes I'm not quite sure what I've got on the page, or if I've got a lot of pictures and I've lost one, and I'm not sure where it is. It's sort of going, it's there somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. Up on the Select pane on the Home tab, I've actually got a selection pane, and it will tell me all the pictures. And sometimes I need to see behind it, or I need to see something that might be there, or I think I've got a word that's sitting behind it, or it's layered, for example, on top of each other. So sometimes I'll have pictures that are kind of layered down the page, so you get a bit of a gist of like my guides, for example. Here's kind of the front page, and there are 5 other pages, but I don't want you to be able to see all of them. It's just a bit of design. I can then go, hang on a second, I need to see, did I put the right, does it go page 1 to 6, or did I go page 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, you know. So I will just show it here. And I can drag them up and down and reorder and work from my selection pane when it comes to pictures. So some rather cool features there as part of working with my pictures. Okay. They're all there as a quick and easy, and you can fix it. And if I go more options, it will bring up that dialog box for you. Your formatting in particular, I use size a lot. It's much easier than sometimes trying to drag it down, especially when it goes right off the page. If you are trying to copy and paste information in from another document, so say I'd opened up something from Excel, and say I want to bring in all of that. This is often what we might do. just go down to the bottom of the document, which can go Control N would take you to the bottom, and I go Control V and I drop it in. Now that's fitting somewhat nicely on the page. However, I might adjust it around, I might bring it in, I can keep it so that it's actually linked. So this is all a live preview of what it will actually look like when you drop it in. If I bring in something, for example, that's particularly wide, so say I go copy and paste, and I drop that in, it's going off the page. So rather than sitting there and trying to adjust all of those columns, as a part of my table design layout, I can go auto fit this to the window and it will automatically adjust it in for me without you having to sit there and drag everything around and adjust it as you need to. I'm seeing a few people go, oh. Yeah, so it is there for you. Another feature may be, so for example, I don't have maybe the totals down the bottom. As part of your table tools, you do have formula and just go sum above and it will just do it for you. So if you've got a heap of figures, just use your formula sum above. I can convert this over to text, for example. If I do that and I go make it as tabs, here it is as tabs. Remember that old key? I just want the figures from that column to copy and paste. Okay. That's where you get that real value of being able to get your information. Okay. If we're doing comments, so if I go, I want to review, and I'm going to put a new comment against it. Not sure if this should be moved. And we can come back in and even reply to comments. Spoke. KJ. We are leaving for now. It's for someone else. So you can put your comments and reply to comments, and it will actually drop in. So it's not just a put a comment anymore. You can reply to them, which is great. My screenshot tool. So insert a screenshot. You'll see these are the windows that I've currently got open. So I can go, rather than dropping in that, I just want to bring it in as a picture. So that is what it looks like over in Excel. Or I can go insert a screenshot and maybe it's a map and I want to go and get some information from somewhere else. So I go, okay, there was a bit of an error message that came up I'm trying to capture, and I can drop it in. Or insert screenshot and go, get me a screen clipping. Now it will go to wherever it is I was last, which was Excel. So if I go insert a screen clipping, it goes, what do you want to select? I want to select this. I don't want the whole page, I just want that piece of information to drop in. So it will only go to wherever it is you were last. So you'd go to, say, a web page with a map on it, then go to Word, then go insert that screen clipping, and it will auto go to wherever it is you were last. So you have to kind of choose your location for it to drop in, and then you can edit it as you need to. If I'm playing with something like shapes, so if I just drop in, now I'm making a right mess of my document. Let's get a blank page going. Now, I could have gone insert a blank page. Okay. When I'm dropping in some information in here, I can go, I want to insert a shape. Now, working in Word, I can start to just draw on the page, but I'm much better off if I do a new drawing canvas first. So it's like a container for your drawing. It will make such a difference because it kind of contains it together and things don't jump around with words all around it. So if I go a new canvas, then I can start to put my shapes to start doing some structure inside that canvas. So that canvas can then be moved around to wherever it is you wish it to go, rather than trying to cut and paste and group, and it's much easier if you put it onto a canvas, guys. That's the main thing that I'll work with on that one in terms of the features. Now, building blocks are the fundamental backbone to a lot of what we've actually got inside a document. So our building blocks come, and over on the text, on the Insert tab, we've got things like, and when we have a look at all the different things, this is a building block, cover pages. Headers, got lots of building blocks. Footers, building blocks. Okay? So that sits there as this structure that's actually behind it. So say I've got a paragraph that I actually want to use again and again and again. Now, as a part of all my features up here, you'll see I've got inserting a text box, building block. I can go, I want to save this selection into what's called your quick parts gallery. So they're all part of the building blocks that sits with your normal template. So if I go save this selection in, it goes, what do you want to call it? And I might call it my intro, for example. Which gallery do you want it in? So I could just put it into that quick parts gallery, or I can go, it's an intro, and maybe I've created a cover page that I use again and again. I can save it to the cover pages, or I could save it into tables, or I could save it as a watermark that I want to use again and again. Okay, so I'm just going to save it into quick parts for now. It will give it a bit of a description. Where do you want it to be? So in general means that it will go down towards the bottom of pages. It won't go to the top. But I could actually give it a new category that would be its own name to push it to the very top of my drop-down lists. Okay, so I go, give it a name, and I might go a new, for example, so it pushes it to the top because it goes alphabetically. Do I want it dropped into my building blocks or into my normal template, so it's there for all templates, blank templates for future? So this means it's in the building blocks for this document or as part of my normal. Do I want it to insert it as its own page or paragraph? So it means put it in the page, move to the next page. So it creates the whole page. So if I just go OK, now I've just dropped that into quick parts. You'll see it's under A new. If I came over here, you'll see built in is just general. If I put in under general, it would just go down towards the bottom. But if I give it its own part and its own name, a general. Now if I go over to a new document, go insert, quick parts, there's my intro for me to use again and again. Now it will drop off the colours and the looks of the theme. It will go rather generic. It will look whatever it is on this new document. So I could type in an intro and press my F9 and it will kick it off, but there's my intro. I can use it again and again and again and again. Things like you might have a code of contact you might have to drop into everything, or a confidentiality notice that you put into everything. There are lots of different reasons why we work with it. So that gives you, a little bit of an understanding of working in your documents. There's certainly plenty features and functionalities. Go and hover over them. If you're not sure what something is, go and actually have a look, okay? If there is a keyboard shortcut, it will generally work with you based on that keyboard shortcut. There are so many other features and functionalities to be able to play with. When it comes to things like your headings, go and have a play, because if you choose a particular style that you want to actually choose for all of your headings, you can actually do it and it will auto drop it all in for you. Okay? It goes based on your styles. As I said, styles will flow through everything. Okay? So that gives you a bit of a high level overview of some of the features and functionalities that you may not know are actually there. There are lots of really awesome keyboard shortcuts to be able to support you when it comes to working in Office. Go and look them up online. What are the top 10 sort of helpful, or top 50 usually, because it gets you a few more. Keyboard shortcuts, going to take you playing around with them about 21 times before you get used to them. Okay? And have a bit of a play. All good. Any questions, anyone? Yes? Yes? On a footnote? Okay, so when it comes to doing footnotes, it doesn't usually allow you in terms of commenting against a footnote, just because of the structure of sometimes how you do a footnote. It just depends on the document. Really, it does, and it might be that you need to do a comment that's next to it that's talking about the footnote. No, there's not. When you have a look at some of the options, for example, if you're coming into your options and you start to have a look around, some of the features and functionalities that are really good to get in and have a play with, your autocorrect options, if it keeps autocorrecting an acronym that you might use and it's driving you crazy, go fix it. You can put it into here. Your spelling of your name, it's the one thing that we spell wrong all the time. Put in the variations of your name and get it to autocorrect for you. Because Microsoft can't fix the spelling of your name. I don't know why, but it's our top number one spelling mistake, our own name. Bit crazy. There are heaps in the advanced. Go and have a look at some of the advanced features, because there's some really cool stuff that actually sits in here in terms of the wrapping of text, the number of recent documents, quickly access, unpinned folders. Okay? So go to your options. There's a lot of ways to be able to get into it. You can either go through and go show more commands, or go file, options, and go to your advanced, and then start to have a look at the different features and functionalities that actually come up. Okay. So there's lots in here to have a bit of a play through. Usually I find that the vast proportion of questions that I do get is because it's something in the options they need to turn on or off, depending on if you've brought over an older document too, and something might need to be turned on or off. Yeah. Okay. Righto, everyone. That sort of covers off everything. You can actually insert online videos now into Word as well, just so that you know. Yeah, that's one of the other new features. Thanks all. You're welcome. Yes, yeah. It's is it 15 or